Welcome to Managing Love Intelligently. I'm Jason.
And I'm Stephen Ng, marriage and family therapist.
And I'm a single man out on the town who's looking for tips and tricks.
Who just turned 41, by the way.
Yes, just turned 41. And I'm single. This is
Come on, ladies.
So today's episode is titled How to Have More Fun Dating.
Well, that sounds so banal when we say it like that, but every one of the installments on this podcast comes from Jason and my interest in helping everybody enjoy relationships and have a truly happy life at a very deep level. And so taking some of these ideas at random makes it sound maybe somewhat trivial, but taken comprehensively, it's about building a life worth living and consequently a life worth sharing.
Yeah, and it starts with dating. I mean, or unless you're in a relationship.
Or I think it starts, and I know you agree, with you being alone.
Yeah, creating a life worth living.
Right, and just being comfortable in your own skin. But when you're ready to start dating, which I hope people who are single do date, I think there is definitely something of a science to that.
So before we get into this whole conversation, if you have a question for Steve, you could visit stephening.com and fill out the contact form. At the end of each episode, Steve will answer a listener question, so stay tuned for that. And if you enjoy the podcast, please share it with your friends and family, subscribe, leave a review. All that stuff is just helpful for getting the podcast seen in front of more people through the algorithms and whatnot. So I feel like people, like me included, sometimes struggle with dating. So I thought we could explore how people have more fun with it. That's kind of the gist of the episode. But
how to have more fun with dating?
Yeah, how to have more fun, because I feel like it could be a weight for a lot of people. But
yeah,
before we get into that, like you were saying, though, we say in this podcast, or you've said, the first step is creating a life worth living. So,
and now I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because dating would actually be part of having a life worth living, right? For you as a single man, I mean, socializing, building friendships with people and developing an active dating life, that would actually be part of a life well lived.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So the challenge is, how can I make that fun? And I don't know if you're ready for me to jump right in.
Yeah, we can jump right in.
Okay, because I was thinking, for me, I think what really would have helped me, and I think a lot of others would have been to have been informed that beside the next step after developing a life worth living, or as you're building a life worth living, is to treat dating, first of all, as a recreational activity, not a desperate search for a rescue, so that someone will lift you out of your misery and your loneliness and all of that, but to just focus on having a good time. That is the first task of dating. Can the two of us have fun? And for me, there are all kinds of different kinds of fun, right? So for some people, it's got to mean a highly kinetic activity. We're going to go rock climbing or hiking, or we're going to be racing go-karts or something like that. But I think there are different types of fun for different types of people. And for me, it's about interesting conversations and getting to know someone. I don't need to meet somebody who's necessarily brilliant and showing off, how much she knows or anything like that. But I would like to be able to say, wow, it was really enjoyable. And, it's always profitable. Even because if it's not an enjoyable date, I get to debrief from the experience and ask myself, well, why wasn't it? And if it's that we're just not compatible, that's fine, because I was doing the research on this person and I found out they are not one of the ones for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But again, not to take it so seriously. It doesn't have to be a big disappointment. Even if you show up for the date, I don't know if you ever go on blind dates.
No, because no one's ever sets me up on dates.
So I've been on some blind dates, and
who set you up on those?
Well, sometimes it was a so-called friend.
Okay. So these blind dates weren't necessarily
wonderful, but generally speaking, people are wonderful. And even if the person you're dating that night isn't the right person for you, that doesn't mean they're not wonderful.
Yeah.
They're just not wonderful for you.
Well, I think that's the hard part, that it sounds so easy, and it sounds cool to make it a recreational activity, but it's like sometimes it feels overwhelming, it feels stressful, it feels hopeless, it feels tiring, it brings up difficult emotions. I think it triggers you, I mean, as the person dating sometimes. And it's like, I feel like you have to kind of become aware of that in yourself, like what's happening and your own neediness as well. And then from there, once you recognize that, you could then make it more recreational and have more fun.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think most of us who are not having fun dating really have some irrational beliefs floating around in our head. We need to, be diligent and purge those. They don't have to come out like before you start dating, but as you become aware of them, gee, that wasn't fun. Why wasn't it fun? Oh, it's because I'm still looking for the one, instead of just enjoying and savoring the opportunity to socialize with this new person.
Well, don't you think that that's the narrative around dating, though? It always seems to be like it's a drag. It's like,
for a lot of people, it sure is.
Magazines and TV shows and this and that, it's like no one's really promoting the idea of dating being fun. I mean, except for you.
Well, there are recreational relationships that are just never going to go anywhere, but they can still be fun. It can still be fun to go skiing with someone who you would not really consider for a leading role in that epic movie that is your life, but they can still be fun.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a non-smoker, and being with smokers is not my thing. But if I was on some kind of outdoor activity and she lit up a cigarette, that doesn't ruin the experience for me. It just lets me know, okay, yeah, she's not like long-term committed relationship material, but she's still a wonderful and interesting human being with a story of her own. And I can enjoy the pleasure of her company. And
well, that's the trick right there. It's like to go in with that curiosity, because most of the times you're going in with that, then wanting to lock it down. You're like, is this person this and that? And like, that's how I was pre-ing, before ing came to my life. But now I think of it that way, and that makes it more enjoyable. But prior, it was just like, this person isn't the one. I got to go back to the drawing board. And
in that business of trying to lock it down, I mean, it just makes it so stressful for you too, because let's say you're over the moon about this woman. She's amazing and she's wonderful. And now you've got to somehow sell her on the idea that you too are adequate, for her. And she could be much happier if she were in a relationship with you, instead of, just living life one day at a time and letting the conversation go where it goes and be enjoyable or not. And I have a really hard time with, the idea that somebody wants to date me and I'm not going to enjoy the conversation. If I'm not enjoying the conversation, generally it's because I'm not taking enough creative risk.
Wow, Steve, thanks.
Yeah, I put it back on you. Well, because...
And that's about, you mean asking questions that are more deeper and more personal, or...
that too is a possibility, but I think it turns into, if I lean too much on that technique, it becomes an interrogation.
Okay.
So I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I can disclose and then follow up with a question like, and how about you? I mean, normally in a conversation, if I say my favorite color is purple, and it's normal for the other person to say, oh, really? My favorite color is green, or whatever they say. And so we tend to mutually ladder up our disclosures. But when you're bored, I think, and this would be a real challenge to you or anybody listening, I think to be saying something vulnerable like, when you're dating, do you ever date somebody and realize you're really bored? right? And it already puts a smile on your
Yeah.
face because now, whoa, we're in for a ride now.
Mm-hmm.
And she might say, well, what? Are you saying you're bored now? And to say, yeah, I think I am.
Mm.
And she could get indignant and in a
Yeah.
huff and get up and walk out on you.
Yeah.
Or she could say, well, what's going on that you're boring
Mm-hmm.
or that you're bored?
bored,
and,
yeah.
and you say, I don't know. Or maybe you would say, well, I want to get to know you. And I guess sometimes I'm getting the impression you really don't want to let me get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you seem like you're only asking me questions, but never telling me anything about yourself.
So your creative ways of doing the creativity comes from disclosing something about yourself.
Yes. And I think that that's much more challenging.
That's authentic.
Than interrogating the other person and peppering them with question after question after question.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tedious and boring in its own right?
Yeah.
To be able to start sharing on your own, like, well, I'm going through a hard time in my life right now, blah, 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 or I'm going through a great time in my life right now, even though she just said something about how hard it is, and you've done your due diligence and you've expressed empathy and compassion. And she says, what about you? And you say, well, I'm pretty much living my dream life right now, which is what I would expect you to say, because you're single and you're living a great life, doing what you want to do with your days. And but you're not on it every day. She might catch you on a down day, or when you're really questioning some profound existential question in your life, like, why am I here? What am I doing? And how come nobody's publishing my books? Those kinds of things that bother me. And I just think there's no excuse for being bored on a date with a new person. To be able to just shake it up a little bit, not by being insulting, by any means, but just by being authentic. And you're a guy who knows how to do that. And doesn't that sound like much more interesting than sitting around being bored?
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree with that. But keeping that, I feel like the curiosity, and you also say like holding it loosely is one thing that kept helped me in dating, like hold the relationship loosely. And even though it's not a relationship, but it's like just go in without like wanting to grasp so much.
Yeah, I think holding it loosely, if it's truly recreational, when you go out with somebody, if you went out to play baseball or softball with somebody like me, you got to know ahead of time, I'm not very good at that game. So it's not about winning. It's really about just having fun.
Okay.
And if you could treat a date the same way, if people could in general treat a date the same way, like my dates with my wife, I treat them as recreational too. I continue to do that. There's not an agenda like we must get to this restaurant and the food must be perfect, or there are no rules. It's just we're enjoying some time together and kind of freeballing our way through the day. And I think that's pretty enjoyable for everybody to do something like that if they can get to that point. Yeah.
So then what would you say about, we've talked about this before, but meeting online versus in person? You're definitely obviously pro in person, and we talk about
yeah, you can't see at home, but we're gonna have cameras on me one of these days soon, and I'm gonna be rolling my eyeballs because I'm obviously very much about meeting people in person, because internet dating apps are not only useless, but they are destructive.
But some people have met their wives or their boyfriends, their partners that way.
Yes. And I know some people who have met their spouse at a strip club, but I wouldn't recommend people go to strip clubs to meet their next spouse.
Oh man, I was going there for my birthday today. So specifically looking for that.
Well, you could meet your next significant other at a hardware store or any place. So there's always that. But in terms of a high probability of success, I think dating apps, the statistics are so bleak because really all people have is a photograph, and that's they project on that photograph
so many things
about themselves.
Well, you get like 3 questions to answer too. Some could be about self-care. So you do have a little bit. So it's like a picture, then you have like a short 100-something word thing you could put, and then you have a few things and a few pictures that you could go off of.
Yeah. So this is a lot like, I mean, really, I'm sorry to have to compare it to this, but it's true that, you know, in the old Penthouse and Playboys, at the back, they would have something about this model who, you know, had been featured in the magazine, and what I like the most, you know, and she'd have to respond to that. And it'd be long walks in the moonlight, you know, on the beach, stuff like that. And there would be one, you know, cliche after another. And really it was to build up that fantasy that, oh yeah, I'd really like to be there with that girl doing those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same in reverse, where something like 85% of the women date or they swipe the right direction on 15% of the men. And many of the men and women who are on these sites get nobody interested in them.
Yeah.
And it's very discouraging, and it's sort of an unreal view, or creates an unreal view of human interaction, because the truth is, at a party, like a cocktail party or a barbecue or anything like that, where you have a chance to talk to people, you would probably be talking to one and all as they came by your vicinity. And some of the people who may not have attracted your eye in terms of attractiveness suddenly become very attractive because of the way they carry themselves and the things they have to say about the world, and their sense of humor just cracks you up, or there's a twinkle in their eye that would never be visible in a photograph. And so I think there's just so much more to one person than a photograph and 100 words, you know, that give a snapshot of who you are.
Yeah.
So I think it's a dismal, I mean, yes, you can swipe left or right on 100 photographs in probably, a minute or two. But that doesn't mean...
Well, they restrict you now. Like, you get like only a certain amount of likes per day, and then they'll say, all right, you're done for the day.
Really?
Unless you want to pay.
Oh, okay.
So then you get a paid version, and then that gives you unlimited access. And that gives you like... So I went on them again, and it was like I was sick for like 2 weeks, and I went on it, and I went on a few of them, and it was just not a fun experience. I did not enjoy it. I had
but for you, it was research. You were working.
I think I was working out that I'm never going to go on them again. I think it was like the final straw. It was like the final, it was like an alcoholic drinking a drink. It was a relapse essentially. So I relapsed, and then I went on them, and it wasn't I didn't feel good about it, like energetically. I mean, just even like checking the phone all the time, looking for notifications, sending a message, waiting to hear back, then the person doesn't respond, or blah, 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 whatever it may be. And then I'm just like, okay, I need to slowly like get off of these. And it felt like I had picked up like 4 crack pipes, and I was smoking like 4 crack pipes. And then I couldn't just like get off them all the way. I had to like slowly wean myself off. And I finished like... Wow,
that's quite the metaphor. That's really a good one. I can't say enough bad about that kind of... Those dating apps are just so truly destructive of so many really wonderful, good people. And instead, you know, the remedy is developing an active social life where you're meeting people organically, and the relationship unfolds very naturally. And then it's really easy to say, if you're enjoying a conversation with someone, to say, hey, after this, would it be okay if I bought you a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
And then now you're out for a cup of coffee, and say, well, I really had a great time. I want to do this again sometime. Can I buy you lunch?
Yeah.
And things evolve so much more naturally and comfortably without that frenetic crack pipe kind of pace.
Yeah, that pace. Yeah.
And you really get to, you know, the human race is really made up of so many intriguing, wonderful people. And even if you got on a date with someone and it turned out not to be, something to your liking, to be able to, I remember one woman asked me, you probably would never ask me out again, would you?
After the date, she said that?
Yeah.
Was she like crazy or something? Or
No, she just wasn't for me.
all right.
And
she could tell?
Yeah. And because, whether it's a blind dates or online dating apps, they're a little bit like in the modeling business, what they call a cattle call, where you just show up and see if, you're what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And the odds are quite high that the answer will be no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of the gig, and you accept that going in or you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
And so people who do a lot of modeling, they go out on these cattle calls, and they're not it's a numbers game. You just go out. And for all you know, they're looking for a minor 49er look, in a guy, and that's not you.
Yeah.
So what is it that they are looking for? You have no idea when you show up. And you really have no idea on a blind date or a dating app secured date. You don't have any idea. But if you've at least met them socially, then you do have some idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So for me, the blind dates really aren't very helpful. They could have, lightning could have struck.
Yeah.
It could have been amazing, but it wasn't. And I think that to be honest about that, I think is hard for people who are empathic and who care. You don't want to ruin the experience, but just to say, well, you're not really what I'm looking for, and I don't think I'm the right guy for you either. And that's really the long and short of it.
Yeah,
is we're just not right for each other. But the date, I think, could have been much more interesting had she asked me that question at the beginning.
Yeah,
and then we could have talked, both of us, about what we were looking for. And if I were ever in that dating situation again, I probably would do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't go online.
I would never go online. No.
I have met some good people online, though. I will say that. But I feel like for me, it was like I grew up with it. And I think it, reflecting back on it, I think I relied too heavily on it. And that then delayed my social skills for asking a woman out. Like I was going to say too, like fear of approaching for men. I had that. I did ask for a woman's number not too long ago, which I went home like celebrating because I was like, I felt like,
yes,
it was, like in an 80s movie or something like that. And
well, I think I have it all backwards, because for me, it just seems like it would be safer for her if I gave her my phone number with an invitation to call me if she'd ever like to go out again.
You'd say the guy gives the woman the number.
Yeah. So
but then a guy needs to have like a card or something like that, or no,
I would just you could just text her something right there, or you could just write it down on a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. And I think for me, what's nice about that, and I'm not against the calling card. I like that's a very classy idea. But I
heard that from a guy, and I'm like, well, he's like a business guy, and he's like, here's my card. It's like, well, I don't have that. I mean, I could
we could make one for you if you want, Jason.
Make a business card. Yeah, maybe business cards so I could just hand them out to women easily. It would be easier. It's just like, well, here's my card. Give me a call. I'd love to take you out sometime.
Well, for me, it's also a little bit of a litmus test, because I want to know that the interest is mutual. And if I never get a call back, that tells me that either A, she's really not assertive enough to do that, even though I've made it very plain that I'm interested.
Yeah. I
initiated our first contact, and I'm looking for a partner in a real life conversation back and forth. I don't want to be the guy who's responsible for initiating 100% of our social outings. So I would even ask, are you the kind of woman who would feel comfortable calling me, if you wanted to go out again, or wanted to have lunch together again?
Yeah.
And that's my little qualifier, because that's the kind of woman I would be looking for. But I don't think I would ask a woman, because I think women have an understandable concern about their safety and stranger danger and all of that stuff. And
yeah. Well, that's a good tip. You hear that, guys? Give them your number.
Well, yeah, but it's like I don't know, a cultural artifact that we don't even question is asking her for her number. And it's like a little bit like my client. I always bring this guy up. He's probably tired of hearing me use him for an example of catastrophe, but he got to talking and with the woman in the parking lot, and then within 30 minutes they're in the backseat of her car having sex.
Yeah.
Well, he was, quote, successful, unquote. But no woman does that with a stranger. No normal woman does that with a stranger who just announced all the terrible things he had to announce about himself. I just got out of prison and what I went there for and all of that. So, yeah, I'd like to be with somebody who's sane and who's willing to kind of go through the getting to know you phase.
What about though, like men, like even fear of men approaching women now? Sometimes men are just like, how do I even do that? Like,
the thing, I think, again, back to the organic nature of your social life, if you're meeting women regularly, then there's an ever growing pool of candidates, and you get to just very organically invite them to do something with you. Hey, I'm going to my Audubon club. I don't know if you ever have an interest in bird life or the outdoors, but I'd love to have you join me sometime. I have an extra pair of binoculars.
Okay. So you're talking about like by going out and meeting these women too, that's all about the creating life worth living. And you're more you seem to be, like I said before, in a dating thing we talked about, more for like getting out and like living life in real life rather than behind technology.
Right. And I'm also not a big one for my being responsible for entertaining the heck out of her. So because for me, the entertainment value is getting to know her.
Yeah.
I want to get to know her. So it's not about, oh, let me fly you to Vegas and we can go take in a show. It'll be great. And I mean, that could be a fun thing to do once I really knew somebody.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's about performance in those early stages. I think it's about, do you like me? Do I like you?
Yeah.
And that is a little bit unnerving, I suppose, for some people, because anybody can take a woman to a fancy restaurant and pay for an expensive meal. But that isn't really, I don't think that's really what we're all looking for.
Yeah.
I think we're looking for something more intriguing and interesting, something better than watching a TV show.
Yeah.
And just going to a steakhouse is not better than a TV show. So, but meeting a new person who's got an interesting life, I think that would be a lot better than a TV show, because they're an actual real person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if these sound interesting, these ideas I'm throwing out, but for me, that's what would work for me to make dating fun.
Yeah.
Is to hold it loosely and not put a lot of pressure on myself to close a deal, to be able to really focus on getting to know her and letting her get to know me as well, matching our disclosures, pound for pound, as we share through the evening or through the lunch date, whatever it is, and then see where it goes from there. And if you're not feeling anything, then it's time to probably move on to somebody else. And if she's feeling that way, same for her.
Yeah. And she was the one that I got her number. She was feeling, I'm not feeling this guy.
She never called?
Well, we went on like 2 or 3 dates and just like had nothing crazy, just talking mostly. But through that, she determined but she said it to me and I felt really good about it. I didn't feel like,
what'd she say to you?
She's like, hey, I just been thinking about it and I don't think we're essentially like compatible kind of way. Kind of said that, like, it doesn't seem like it was good. It was like, I was like, well, I was like, wow, thanks for letting me know so early. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it felt good.
I think I would feel the same way. And it'd be interesting. And I would like to follow that up, that conversation, not in an argumentative way, like I'm trying to, no, wait a minute, I don't want to lose this sale. Let me close her again. But I think to just say, I'm really intrigued by what you said. I'd like to know more because I kind of thought maybe we were compatible.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking that we weren't? Because maybe I missed something.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I would like to know. I mean, I just think that's interesting. I mean, unless you're painfully stinging from the rejection, which I hope nobody is in a situation like that. But I know some people do.
Yeah, I had some assumptions, but I like the idea of asking directly, like just being like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know if I could." Like, I'm curious,
Yeah, was it the Bears sweatshirt? Is that what threw you off? I think because for if she's gone on like 3 dates with you, she's done some interviewing, right?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff, and
she checked you out in a big way. And were you given any? I mean, were you picking up on any yellow caution flags?
Yeah.
You were.
I was getting some caution as well. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't know. But I was still like, it was still early on and I was still willing to it was fun enough. Like I was always like the meter. It's like, was it fun? It's like, yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. Well, and we just hung out and like talked. It wasn't like we weren't physical or anything like that, but it was just getting to know who she was. And I was intrigued by it, but I was also getting a little cautious a little bit with some things.
Yeah. And I think finishing well, I remember listening to a coach who talked about it. If you're going to be a champion, you got to finish well.
Yeah.
And finishing at that particular date for me would be really wishing her the best, and finding what she's looking for, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that I really appreciated not only her honesty, but just the opportunity to get to know her. And
yes, I did say that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I said I appreciated getting to know you.
Well, yeah. And it's funny because that kind of a date could go over kind of wah, for a woman. But then as she experiences more dating, it's like everything is as compared to what, right?
Yeah.
And you might later be looking like a real keeper. And like
well, I had all the relationship technology. She knew what I did. She knew,
Well, that might be,
But I think she wasn't into what we'll get into a little bit later.
Well, in our last podcast, you were talking about there are people who just don't have an interest in that kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
It's abuse free and all that other stuff.
Well, I think this is just a perception, or I don't know if it's true, but it seemed like she was one of those people too. Like she wanted to be commitment really early on. And I don't think she was comfortable with not having it for like 6 months to a year, as we discuss.
Well, for me, my response to that would be something, again, emphasizing the organic nature of commitment, because I've never had a male friend who, like, I have a number of really close friends, but not one of them have ever braced me for a commitment.
Yeah.
And yet all of them would have anything they wanted from me if they only asked, or if I became aware of it.
Yeah.
So with, a woman who is not comfortable, I mean, you're 3 dates in and you haven't had sex, and
she wouldn't even come to my place because she was
without a commitment.
Well, she was like afraid that something would happen. And I was like, hey, I've done a lot of work around this stuff. I'm not one of those guys who like, just is going to like pounce on you. I was like, I just like looking for a quiet place where we could sit down and like listen to some music and get to know each other some more. But she was like very hesitant about that.
Sure. And then what would have made it, I'm curious what would have made that comfortable, or when would that have become comfortable after another 10 dates?
I know, that's the thing too. And I was like, well, if she's not comfortable for me, because like you're doing all these things, like you learn a lot about yourself through dating too. And sometimes those things are painful, or you're like, well, this isn't, I don't know. But it was like, yeah, I didn't know how many more dates we needed to have, because the first date we went to a bar and it was like insane. And I didn't even drink, I'm not drinking it right now. So, but there was like a DJ at like 8:00, and it was like, Jesus Christ, we can't even like talk. So we went to another bar, and like that was quiet at first, and then another DJ came like an hour later. Then it like, that was crazy. Then it was just like, it was hard to find a spot at night in like winter time to where, because you can't be outside. Like in the summer, you could like take a walk or go outside or do something like that.
Right.
But it was an indoor place. So after like 2 of those dates, it was like the third one, I feel like maybe she thought I was pressuring her to come over. I don't know what it was. Again, I didn't ask, but.
Well, the comment you made about the 6 months or year before making a commitment, for me, it doesn't even really suit you or most other people, because if things are truly organic, let's say you met somebody and really hit it off famously with them and they felt the same way, even without a commitment, it's not like, if you're having an amazing, great time with this person, you're not going to be dating random strangers, in the future. So yeah, I could see where every time you go out, you're kind of dating the same person, but you don't need to commit to them to be dating the same person and not seeing others. But I like the idea too of using commitment as a litmus test in the opposite sense of what most people mean, because do you like me enough to hang out with me and date me and talk to me without a commitment? I mean, are you really enjoying me as a human being?
Yeah.
Or am I somehow a potential commitment object?
Yeah.
And that if I fail to make a commitment within a timely manner, some time frame that you have set up, like 2 months or whatever it is. If I fail to do that, does that mean I'm no longer worthy of your time or your interest?
Yeah.
And I find that very, what's the word? Artificial. It seems like a very weird rule. I'm very suspicious of rules. I've tended to have I have some rules in my life, but I make, when it comes to getting to know somebody and getting closer, I don't know that time is an appropriate rule.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about that whole thing about dating multiple people. So you believe, or what are your thoughts on dating, I guess?
Well,
as far
as I feel like I'm in court and the judge said, okay, objection, because there's a leading question there. It's true what you're about to say is I don't have an objection to dating lots of people at the same time, because I don't think nobody owns me and I don't own them. Why would I not date as available? And if there is somebody,
date as available, that's how you put it.
Why not? Yeah. So if I ask her out and we have a great time and everything, but in the meantime, back at work or on some sort of social outing, I happen to run into someone else who is very intriguing, and I'm not sure where you would be. Oh, you do improv. Maybe at improv you meet somebody who's just amazing, or a new teacher blows into town who's teaching improv just, for a brief time. And you go out and you also have a wonderful time. Does that mean somehow you, quotation marks around this, somehow you cheated on the first woman? I don't think it means that at all. There's nobody owns you. There's no commitment there. And to be open to dating others, if I'm afraid of her dating others, really, what am I trying to control there? Am I trying to corner the market and make sure she only has me to pick from?
Yeah, well, that's what it feels like. It feels like a form of control from either or. I mean, especially, but it seems like sometimes it seems like I've heard it multiple times that women especially want that commitment pretty early on. And then.
Yeah. But another subject for conversation on a date, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why do you want that?
What is that about? Tell me about that, Susan. What does that mean about you? And well, it just means I'm a decent person and you're a slob if you don't want that, or you're not worthy of further consideration. I thought you were a keeper, but you're not. For me, it would be something I would really want to examine that, because I don't want to be muscled into a commitment, whether it's because I really like to keep seeing her. And this has happened to me before where I wasn't seeing anyone else. And the woman I was dating said, well, I don't feel comfortable dating you because, I don't like to be dating men who are dating others. I said, I'm not dating anybody.
Yeah.
And with that, the jaws of the Venus flytrap closed. And I didn't realize till later, oh, now I'm in a commitment. I just said, I'm not dating anyone else. And okay, then she was going to date me. And the date was my prize. It was like I won some sort of prize because I wasn't dating anyone else. And now she was going to date me. And I think in hindsight, if I had just said, look, let's not call it a date. Let me just take you out for lunch and we'll just talk.
Yeah.
Because maybe that word date is too loaded for some people. But I've had a lot of young people say to me, they don't use that word dating anymore. It's terribly dated. And I said, well, what do you call it? Well, we just call it going out. Okay, but that idiom going out kind of means the same thing as dating, except perhaps it's a little less intentional.
Yeah.
Because it's an interview.
So say I'm dating like 3 women.
Yes.
And they're all...
And you mix up their names.
And I mix up their names all the time. But they're really cool and they are fine with it. No, but say I'm dating 3 people and this has been going on for like 3 months. And do I tell them like I'm dating other people? Like, is that something that I would say?
So many people ask me that. And it's a little bit, reminiscent to me of, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to get in trouble when she finds out?
Yeah, that's a lot.
But at the same time, you haven't queried her. Are you dating anyone else? And what would that, and that question is a little bit invasive.
Yeah.
You could say, I'm curious, since we've been dating, are you still open to dating other people? I mean, that's one way of breaking the ice. Because we've never discussed commitment. I was wondering how you felt about our dating other people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not dating anyone since I've met you. Oh. And then
she's like, well, are you? And you're like, well, yeah, I'm dating 2 other people right now.
Well, and I would be honest about, I depending on how it was all asked and phrased, because I don't want to be reporting in.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm talking to my mother about staying out too late or something like that.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I would want to be saying, well, what would it mean to you if I was dating other women?
See, you got all these little tricks up your sleeve.
Well, I would really want to know, because I think for me, it wouldn't be troubling if she was dating other men.
Yeah, same.
I don't particularly, if we're not sexually involved, I think it's rather invasive to be saying, are you dating other men? Because it's really none of my business. I think it's my business, how we're dating today in this moment. That's my business because I'm part of that. But I would want to know, I guess at some point in a conversation, in one of the early dates, the interviews, to be asking about commitment in the sense of, have you ever gotten into awkward conversations with men while dating about the subject of commitment? And that's where we all have our war stories and we share funny tales and all the rest of it. And because I want to let you know up front, this is just a date for me. I'm just trying to get to know you, and I like you and I hope to get to know you better, but I'm not into making a commitment until I thoroughly get to know somebody and to know that they're the right person for me.
Yeah. And if the person isn't okay with that, then you just have to let them go.
Well, yeah, because they're a moron, a bird brain, an imbecile, because you want me to commit to you before I know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, how smart is that?
Yeah, I know.
That's like crazy talk.
So, well, that answers that question. So,
was that too abrupt? I mean, does that make sense?
I get it. That's how I feel as well. And I feel though sometimes I've been hearing stories like multiple people, like guys just wanting, like the women want the commitment early on.
And sometimes it is the guy who wants that commitment, or who expects it for whatever reason. But I just think if you really believe in the value of commitment, it's a subject worth really examining in conversation and talking about what you would be looking for and what would it mean to you and where you would want that commitment to go. Because most of us have gone through painful breakups and we're not looking forward to the next painful breakup.
Yeah, exactly.
And as long as you're not committed, you're not going to be breaking up with someone. You would, in fact, simply fade away and stop calling and stop dating them.
Yeah.
But once you're in a committed relationship, which they used to call the boyfriend, I guess, the girlfriend, now it's either we march forward to living together or getting engaged or eventually getting married, or the alternative is we have to break up.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's any value in going through that junior level of commitment, sort of like Barbie Playhouse, where we're going to play, house now, and we're committed.
And you say you wouldn't commit for at least a year. That's your general advice.
Well, again, back to this, that's not really a hard and fast rule for me, but it would depend on how well I got to know that person and how strongly I felt about them being right for me. And we all feel that the person we're attracted to is the right person.
Yeah.
But how long does it really take me to get to know someone? And I would, instead of a time frame, I don't want to be, how some senior people say, well, we must be doing something right. We've been together for so many years. I think it makes more sense to talk about it in terms of behavioral achievements. Well, I've known her long enough to have had a couple of good arguments with her. And she's always been able to confront me when she thought I was, really blowing it.
Yeah.
And she's always been able to confront me and argue with me in a way that was non-abusive and respectful. Well, if I went through 3 of those kind of arguments with a woman by the 6-month period, I'd be feeling pretty great about making some kind of commitment at that point.
But what about, say, just like I start dating somebody, and then I'm dating those 3 people, and it's 3 months in, and the one person says to me, "Oh, hey, I want to talk about commitment. I'd like to commit to you. I don't want a relationship. I still want to date, but I'd like to just commit. I'd like to exclusively date each other, but not have the title of like boyfriend, girlfriend, but just."
Well, Susan, I can understand that, but why? What's the rush? Yeah.
She's like, well, I don't want you to date other people anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like messing with me.
And why is that? Because you're afraid of the competition? Because I'll tell you right now, Susan, I'm with you for the pleasure of your company. I enjoy you. I'm not with you on this date because I felt obligated. And that's what a commitment would be, right? I have a commitment to take out the garbage on a certain day of the week, and I don't keep that commitment because of the obligation. I keep it because I love my home and I want it to be pleasant and enjoyable. And the same way with my cat or my dog, I take care of them because I love them. I'm committed to them, and the commitment flows out of that kind of love. It's not as though, wow, this is a horrible cat or a horrible dog, but damn it, I made a commitment, so I'm going to keep them even though they're destroying my property and making my life a living hell. What does that even mean? I think that I would say to her, the safest way to get me in a commitment is by doing what you've been doing. And that's just simply being wonderful.
And then eventually, but what if you are ready? What if you're like, okay, I want to spend more time with her and do all that? Yeah.
I think at some point, I think commitment by itself is sort of an empty thing. What is the commitment? Okay, that we'll date exclusively. Well, if I am dating her exclusively already because I just enjoy her that much, then fine. But at the 3-month mark and you're dating 3 different women, the other 2 would have to be really losers for you to go, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. But if you even look at that closely, it's like, yeah, that's 3 out of 4 billion women on the planet. And so have I really done any kind of due diligence? And I would confront her about that neither one of us has done the due diligence to make sure that we're with somebody. You don't know how I argue. You don't know how comfortable. Well, I would never want to argue with you, Steve. Well, but any 2 people who get close will argue. Won't you agree eventually, sooner or later? Yeah, I guess so. Well, wouldn't you want to know that I fight fair? Wouldn't you want to know that I have the courage to confront you when I think you're kind of blowing it the way I'm confronting you right now? And yeah, I guess. Well, there you go. You've got everything you ever wanted.
So
right?
yeah, so so it's like you don't want to commit until you have done this thorough intentional interview and have saw if they could fair fight, if they could live an abuse-free life,
Right. And
and
they're
if it's
committed to that. And
if it's fun and it's exciting and she's crazy about you and you about her, then it's
right.
like
Well, then we're talking.
then you're talking some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
something.
happen like 3 months in. That doesn't happen.
I can deceive myself and think it's happening in 3 months in, but people generally don't work that fast, and it really takes time.
Yeah.
There's this.
Well, that's what I like about it, because then it's like, okay, well, I don't have to rush this anymore. I can take my time. If it takes till whatever it takes, I could still date. And you still have that freedom, because we talked about giving up. Like, people don't know what they're giving up.
Options, privacy, freedom.
Yeah, when they hop into something that quickly. And then once you get in it, the faster you get into it, the harder it is to then get out of.
Yeah, so I'm guilty of overusing the name Susan when I do role plays, but I would say to Susan in this case, if you're not comfortable dating me without a commitment, maybe you need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I could call you in a month if you want and ask you if we could have lunch.
Yeah.
And then you could tell me how it's going for you.
Mm.
Would that be acceptable, Susan? And, because I care about you and I enjoy your company so much. I'd really like to know if you're doing okay. And if if in a month from now you rethink and you're open to going out to dinner, maybe we could do that.
What if Susan's like telling her friend, Rebecca, like, oh yeah, me and Steve are done. He's just got a roster of women that he's going out with, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, for me, that would be even if I had no other woman in my life. It's just, I'm not ready to be committed after 3 months of knowing somebody. Mm-hmm. I don't trust myself and my own judgment because I don't have enough data to make an informed decision. So it's really not fair for me to do that to myself. But if that's what she wants to do, she's welcome to take a pause, press the pause button and go on with her life and see if that works for her. Mm. And if I really was enjoying her and I was disappointed that she did that, I would call her in a month. I put it in my calendar right then and there, call Susan in a month. And I would absolutely do that. Yeah. Still on for lunch?
And she's like, what if she's like, no,
you're dead to me.
Well, she's like, I found the person of my dreams.
Oh,
which happened
perfect.
To me.
You know what? I'm so happy for you, Susan. I'm really glad this worked out. 1 month later, right? And that tells you, that tells you so much about her notions of commitment and getting to know people.
That she's ready.
Yeah.
But if she's just like, well, I'm ready.
And, except she's not ready with you or with that other guy, because in a month for sure she doesn't know the other guy. Mm-hmm. He may be ready to get married.
Everything in common. He's ready to go, and everything lines up.
He wants to start a family right away.
Ready to, it's like this is
all those goals line up, except I might be with the wrong person. Oops.
Yeah. So
that's a big oops.
Yeah, it's
just because two people do want to get married doesn't mean they're right for each other.
Yeah.
And if you start adding, but I want to buy a home and get have children, and do all this stuff, and the other person wants all that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you have 15 things lined up goals that you have in common, it doesn't mean you're with the right person. That's what the whole interview is about. Are you the right person?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it takes me at least a year or maybe a year and a half, because I feel like I was dating, because I had a similar story like this with a woman I was dating with 2 kids. I told you about this before.
Right.
But I feel like it took me almost a year and a half of dating
to realize.
But that was I'm just like, it just took me, that's just what it takes me. And like you said, like, you don't trust yourself to hop into it that quickly. And I'm the same way too. And I'm just like, well, I'm pretty slow. And I know, and I've been also working with this information or the technology now. So even with that, equipped with that, it's still, for me, is like a year, I would say.
But for sure, you, with practice, are getting better at intentional interviewing.
Yes.
And with practice, that timeline is going to shrink.
Shrinks down, yeah.
So that's why I'm distrustful of the rules. It's just, you have to know
where
do I have the adequate information to make an informed decision here?
Yeah.
And at the 3-month mark, most of us would have to say no to that. I mean, if we're really being honest with ourselves, because then you find out some big thing you never even imagined that, could be true of that person.
Yeah.
And you go,
like, oh, wow, I shouldn't have not moved in with this person so quickly.
Right.
What about, man, I can feel like this could go on for another hour, but what about women who don't want to approach men?
Well, they're not the right women for me. I mean, I want to be with a woman I can respect as an adult, and that she's capable of adult social interactions. And women in our culture are regularly in sales positions or in some important management position where they have to go up and initiate a conversation with men or women who are working with them, with suppliers or with other supervisors, and having meetings and all of that. But suddenly she has the learned helplessness in a social encounter. She can't make a phone call. She can't call me.
But what if she's like, it's like the woman has the story in their head. Not all women, but they have where the guy should be the one who seeks them out.
Right. He's the prince.
Yeah. Rather than the woman approaching because then it's like reverses the role. And it's like some women are just like, well, I'm be single because I'm not the one who should have to go up to the guy. The guy should come up to me and ask for my number.
I met a woman just like that. And she was remarkable. She was really beautiful and intelligent and just, seemed like a really great person. And we went out on one date and she kind of did the demure ingenue sort of thing where she batted her eyes and then looked down and she said, I'm an old-fashioned girl. I just think the man should do the courting and I would want the man to initiate all the dating. So it was just the kind of woman you're talking about. And I said, oh gosh, I'm probably not the right guy for you then because I'm looking for something based on equality where two adults can each take responsibility for initiating contact. And if one wants to, phone the other, they just do. They pick up the phone and they call. And if they enjoyed an encounter and they want to reciprocate, I mean, we're both adults. We both work for a living. I'm not looking for exactly 50-50 parity, but something that even 60-40, even 70-30, but I would want somebody to be able to initiate social outings with me as well, whether it's going out for lunch or just getting together for a coffee or doing something fun. And she, in one confrontation, did a 180 and said, well, I'd like to invite you out to blah, 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 blah. And she invited me out to dinner. So I think the old saying from the New Testament, James it is, I think, you have not because you ask not. And you just put it out there. And if she had doubled down on the whole, well, I just think the man should do the courting, I would have said, yeah, I really wish you good luck with that. Yeah. Because it really puts a woman, I think, at a profound disadvantage where she can only date the men who initiate contact. And that would not work for me as a man. Yeah. I'm not going to only date the women who initiate the date with me, and I'm not going to date I'm not going to avoid dating either group. I'm going to date both groups, but I want to know that we could have a relationship based on some sort of parity in terms of social competency.
Nice. So you hear that, women? Start approaching men, especially ones in Reno who are 41 and single. Same Jason. So to wrap up, I guess, what is your advice for just like the simple way? I mean, we kind of went through it a few different times throughout this talk, but like how to have more fun dating, like just how can you sum it up again?
Remember, it's recreational. It's there to be enjoyed. Hold it loosely. And if you think in the early days, particularly when there's no commitment, to not be afraid of the subject of commitment. If it comes up, talk about it. Talk about what you would need, what you believe about commitment. But if you can again, hold the relationships loosely for a while until you've had time to truly perform an intentional interview and get to know the person adequately to make an informed decision about commitment. I think that would be really smart.
Cool. Well, there you have it, folks. Have fun. Get out there, date, and
date your hearts out.
Date your hearts out. So, all right. So to wrap up, we have a listener question. And if you have a question for Steve, you could visit steveanding.com and fill out the contact form. This week's question is, hi, Steve. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I am positive my wife loves our dog more than she loves me. This is hitting close to home, except with the cat. If I got half of the affection the dog gets, I'd be happy. I'm so angry now that I'm ready to leave her over this. Is that selfish?
Well, there's somebody who didn't do a very good intentional interview.
Yeah. Unless she was giving him the affection and then,
it transferred over to the dog and she was done with him. Mm-hmm. I think, again, we have not because we ask not. And if he had just said to her, hey, what's going on? What do you mean? Mm-hmm. Well, I noticed that, I like hugging and kissing. And I noticed that ever since we got the dog gets a lot of physical affection and I'm left with nothing. What's that all about? And I think no matter what words come out of her mouth, to look at what the results are of that confrontation, as in the months ahead, does anything change? Mm. Because sadly, it may be true that she's just not into you, that dude.
Yeah.
She may not like you that much. It may be a simple thing like you never shave and I always get, a razor burn, or, you're always working out and you smell bad, or I don't know what it would be that would come out of her mouth. But if you're not getting your needs met and you find out really it's just you, she just doesn't really like giving you affection, then I think, or she doesn't think you deserve it and she uses affection as a reward for so-called good behavior.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, something that I would want to really be honest with myself about and accept that, in this doghouse, I am never going to be top dog. Mm. I am always going to be the underdog. And if I'm not happy with that, then I need to run away from home.
Wow. Well, there you have it. I was thinking maybe he could turn himself into a dog, like the Shaggy Dog kind of thing. Find a ring. Isn't that Shaggy Dog where he has a ring that turns into a dog?
Is this a Disney movie or something?
Yeah. You don't know the Shaggy Dog?
I do not know this. I did not know this part of your childhood at all.
This is like a movie that maybe one day I'll write about this situation. And then the man turns himself into a dog and then he lives happily ever after.
It happens a lot with, most typically the stories I hear have to do with the children. She or he, one of them is willing to give the children a lot of affection, but not to the spouse. Or they're willing to be very open and affectionate with virtually anybody, but not the spouse.
Yeah.
And the spouse has made it really clear that they want that. They've talked about it.
Yeah.
They haven't changed since they first met each other. And all of a sudden it's not happening. And I think, to be honest about that, you don't want to be, none of us want to become the affection police, counting up how many hugs and kisses we get.
Yeah.
But if I'm not comfortable, then I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. If you're not happy, it's really time to move on.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you for the question. Thanks, Steve. And thank you all for tuning in as always. And we'll catch you on next time. See you then.